right, we will make a start. Seems a bit weird. The teacher in me wants to just put the microphone down and project my voice and things like that, but we are recording tonight for those who couldn't make it. So welcome, everybody. Feels a bit strange me saying welcome to everyone. Well, this is not my home place. So, but we've been really blessed by the welcome we've had as a staff. We've got Kerry here, who's our head of campus principal at Wyndham campus. We've got Dishan Rajaratnam at the back taking photos there. He's our business manager of the whole college. And Pete, give us a wave. Pete Bunyan, who's our head of primary at our Kingston campus. So we've got a team here today. And earlier today we had a fabulous morning where we had a whole heap of staff from the Wyndham campus and students. And students were entertaining us, playing music, and we had various activities. I saw a few of you here today. And my sign's just fallen. The blue tack's not strong enough, never mind. But yeah, so we're here tonight to have an update on where things are at with our Christway Colac campus. We were here in March, late March, with our sort of first inaugural meeting where we had Pastor Dan from Kingston City Church, now called Inspire City Church, over in, which is our sort of mother church back in Melbourne. And the idea today, said at the time, we'll be back with further updates and more information, and that's what tonight is about. So what did we say last time? Just onto the next slide, please. I'm Damien, by the way. I'm the executive principal of Christway College, which has 2 campuses, soon to be 3. So I oversee the whole college, and our campus principals look after each campus individually, and that's one of the things I'll talk about later for here in Colac. So last time we talked about the idea, and it was early stages. We just got permission or approval from the college board and the board of elders of the church to branch out and do this venture of a 3rd campus. That was our vision, and we shared a bit of that vision and had a good night where there was lots of questions asked. And it was all about, could this happen? This is what it might look like. Tonight we've moved past that. We've moved past the whole idea, could this happen? This is happening because we've done a lot of work on the process. And if we can move to the next slide. And just to update you on the progress that has been made. So, of course, we talked about a campus here. We talked about what it might look like in terms of what classes might operate. That's still to be determined to a certain degree based on the demand from the parents, the families, and who decides to enroll. But a little bit about the practical progress that's been made. So we've had meetings with the Colac Council. What's the full name of the Colac Council? So we met last week, and they've engaged with the various departments. So we've had our architects on board and our own sort of consultants working. So that's well in progress now. Our architects have created the design. That's pretty much set now. The design of what we expect the campus to look like. I'll show you a few little photos later. Those of you here today might have seen some of our posters up showing that. And we've been working on a lot of the community engagement as well through our expressions of interest, which we started last year. And then since our meeting in March, we started the pre-enrollment process. So we've had a lot of people engaging with that. Some people have actually signed up. Hopefully there's more to come. And we've had our enrollments team calling those of the people that we've got on the list through the expressions of interest form and the sign-up sheets. Can you give us a show of hand if you've had a phone call from any of our team? So some of you haven't. You might get a phone call in the next few weeks. The other thing that's a really significant step in the launch of the college is the VRQA, which stands for the Victorian Registrations and Qualification Authority, which is basically the regulator who registers schools. So we work with VRQA. Our college as a whole is registered, of course, as a P-12 school in Victoria. And adding another campus is a relatively straightforward process. Having said that, it's not a quick process either. It takes lots and lots of hours of documents and paperwork. That's been submitted this week. And what happens then is the regulator accepts the registration. They come back and say, well, you've got to maybe adjust this policy slightly, change that policy. They may ask a few questions, and then by the start of January next year, or sort of mid-January, they'll finally give us the all clear to have our official registration. If there was going to be a problem with the registration, they would alert us pretty much straight away. So it's just about getting everything lined up, ready to go. So that's all these things have been in progress, and these tasks and projects towards the launch of the campus have taken many hours. I would say hundreds of hours potentially. Not just my hours, but lots of other consultants and architects and other staff like Kerry and Pete and Deshaun. So we move to the next slide. So another big question I've been asked today is, so what grades are going to be, what's the start? And the answer is if I was going to be based on who's enrolled, who's pre-enrolled, who's expressed interest, I would say the most likely startup is prep, year 1, year 2, year 3, year 4. However, having said that, I've got a little bit of a thing at the side there that says the Agnes Water Blueprint. Now, Agnes Water, anyone ever been there on holiday? It's a nice place up in Queensland. You've been to Agnes Water? Lovely place. I lived there for 3 years, and I was up there as the inaugural principal of Christway College. Now, Agnes Water is a very small town, 2,500 people, quite a bit smaller than Colac. Beautiful place. And the idea was to launch a high school, a Christian education high school for students in year 7 and 8, and sort of expanding through high school. What we found is the school opened in 2015. Around about July, August, we started to get more demand of the local community saying, hey, we would like a primary option. Are you offering grade 5? And we said, well, if enough people want grade 5, we'll offer grade 5. And then some people said, well, what about year 9? You've only got up to year 8. Well, if there's enough people in year 9, we'll offer year 9. And then people came and said, well, what about year 3 and 4 and things like that? And then people said, what about year 10? So we started off wanting to launch at year 7 and 8. We were saying as late as July in 2014, yeah, it's going to be year 7 and 8, sort of middle school. And when we started in January 28th, 2015, we launched prep, from year 3 through to year 10 with 91 students. So it just shows you how quickly things can change when the community say, hey, we want this grade, and if enough people actually follow suit, it can change. So based on expressions of interest so far, here we are in sort of late June, I would say prep to year 4 is the most viable option. But who knows, if a certain number of students in secondary express an interest, or parents of students, then we potentially could have a year 7 and 8 class launch as well at the start of next year. So anything is possible on that. And we did actually have quite a few through the open day today, inquiring about year 7 and year 8. So nothing's locked in terms of which year levels will run. The Agnes Water Blueprint is an example of how things can change very quickly, even this late in the planning stage. Moving on to the next slide, please. So this is a big, thing today. We've had a lot of interest before Christmas, early part of the year, this part of the year. A lot of people interested. A lot of people interested but waiting to see how is this going to pan out, and watching to see what will happen. And I completely get it, wanting to know that this is a real thing, that this is certain. So as far as I'm concerned, we are past the point of no return in terms of the planning, the amount of planning and work we've done and finances we've committed to launching this campus. It's a certainty that it'll take place unless everybody stays on the left and waits and watches and so forth. What needs to happen is we need to move enough people from the left to the right, which is, yep, I'm in. There's my form. I'm going to step forward. I'm going to enroll. I'm going to be one of the founding families of Christway College in Colac. That's what we need to do between now and January 28th, round about there next year. Ideally before then, a little bit before then. But in terms of the planning, the preparation, the compliance, the infrastructure, the planning, all that's well underway, and that's just a progression that's going to move forward to completion over the next 6 months. So I guess that's the challenge for those here tonight and for those listening. And I completely get it. It's a risky thing, isn't it? As a founding principal of the school up in Agnes Water, I obviously had a job to do, but my 4 kids, who we took from Melbourne up to Queensland 10 years ago, dragged the family halfway across Australia. It was a huge risk. What is this school going to be like that's not even started yet, that doesn't exist yet? I can tell you it's the most amazing experience to be part of founding a new college community. And to see that school today, 10 years later, it's now close to 400 students in a very small town. Agnes Water has grown in the last few years to about 5,000-6,000 people. But Colac's 12,000 to 15,000 people. I've got no doubt we could grow a Christian school here, Peter 12, up to that sort of size, 300, 400 students over not so many years. So it's exciting, and to be there on that first day, I'll never forget. It's etched and scorched into my memory that day, that hot day in Queensland, where a whole bunch of people, a whole new community was born for the first time, and we were all there in the hot sun with marquees over our heads for our first assembly, and it's something I'll never forget. From there, it's just gone from strength to strength. So it does take that step of faith to walk in and say, yeah, we're going to be one of those founding families to take part in this brilliant adventure. Next slide, please. So talk a little bit about the practicalities of what the school might look like, because I know it's important that we see what this might be on the ground. Bit of a thing at the bottom there, and this is something that Kerry says a lot in our Wyndham campus, because that's only 7 years old. Our campus in Wyndham, it's grown from 0 to 500 plus in 7 years. But Kerry would often say, it's not about the building, it's about the culture that we build in that. And that's about the people, it's about the staff, it's about the students and everyone, the families that take part. But it's important to look at what the buildings might look like, to have something tangible and visible to sort of latch onto. So if we can move to the next slide. So our architects have been working on now this is not going to be a traditional build where we do major earthworks here on the church site. So we are going to be working on portable structures, but the way this is set out to allow for enough play space for students, to allow enough classroom space for students. This is what we're looking at sort of towards the bottom of the image here. You can see the cars will follow the red line as you drop students off in. And the entry to the school, you can see the little footsteps going in there. And that's our first block, which we'll call stage 1, which it says there in blue, staff admin, and then 3 classrooms prep, a grade 1-2 class, a grade 3-4 class, and then amenities, toilets at the back with disabled access, walkways, etc. And there'll be a little bit of manoeuvring of fencing and gates and so forth to allow students to come in, to be part of a school, and to sort of create a little bit of demarcation between the school and the church buildings as well. Up at the top, if there's enough demand for this first year, the top part will take place as well, which is year 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and a specialist room which could be things like science and arts and those practical subjects. We anticipate it'll be the first block, but as I said, anything's possible based on the demand that takes place. And then there's possibly other areas where it says existing sheds and so forth, which could be redeveloped in what we might call stage 3 down the track. So this is kind of what we're expecting for the first few years of the college. I mentioned this last time. Down the track, we anticipate, once the school's established and growing, that we look for a new piece of land which we can develop into a full master plan, Peter 12 master plan, which wouldn't be temporary buildings, it would be permanent. What the architect then did, next slide please, is to create this sort of 3D image of what it might look like from above the ground. And then I thought, well, that'd be nice to make this look even more realistic. So I fed this into AI and came up with the next photograph, which is much more exciting to see. That's an image of what it might look like, and not too far from accurate. So you can see there the 2 portable buildings, and then plenty of room at the back for play space. So we're really excited about what it might look like. That's what we anticipate it'll look like. I hope that tries to bring what might be in your imagination to a little bit more of a reality. So moving on, next one. So what's happening next? What's next in the process? So next term, so we've got a couple of weeks break. This is the last week of term 2, a couple of weeks off, and then middle of July, term 3 starts, and at that point we'll open the enrollment process more formally. At the moment, we've got pre-enrollments happening, and that's still open for those of you who are interested in the pre-enrollment process. You can take away a form with you tonight. We've got some of those hard copy forms for you to take away. That's really helpful. The sooner you can fill in those details and indicate that, yeah, you know what, I'd really like to be part of this first year, 2027. That really gives us a bit more information to go off so we can start shaping what the school will look like day one. But I know it's very important to have faces and real people. Now, we're real people, Kerry and Pete and myself and Deshaun, but we are Christway College people, but Christway Colac staff. I'm sure that's something that's really important for us to see. We have started the search for the lead teacher or the head of campus. And what we hope to do, we've sort of gone internally initially to see if there's any expressions of interest from our existing Christway staff. We've got 100 staff. We've got 200 staff of education staff, teaching staff. We have around about 100. There may be some experienced staff amongst those, whether it's in our western campus or our southeast campus, who might be interested in relocating and taking on this job as the lead teacher. However, it's also equally likely that there could be someone in the Colac area, a local, who is a teacher, who's experienced enough to take on the head of campus role. We've already had plenty of expressions of interest from people, from educators in Colac and learning assistants and people who want to contribute to the college and possibly look for opportunities. So I've spoken to a few of those today as well, a few teachers in the area. So it could be that we have a local person amongst the community already who is going to be our inaugural head of campus. We hope to introduce that person when we're next here in probably late August. I think we're looking at maybe, was it the 30th of August as the next time we'll be here? That's a Sunday, so we're hoping to do a Sunday afternoon where we're all here again, and hopefully we can start unveiling a few of our staff. And that will probably the teachers, the primary teachers or secondary teachers or the specialist teachers and learning assistants. We hope to start recruiting and locking those in and appointing them in the early part of term 4. And then late January is when we come on site for that first exciting day of our new campus. Next one, I think we're nearly there. So, as I said, it's assembling the pioneers. The pioneers are you guys and our staff, and what we anticipate will be the pioneering team to run the college campus will be a combination of the Christway experienced staff that we already have and local people here who want to be part of this and join that together. That will make our founding team who runs the college, obviously ahead of Colac campus being introduced. But the pioneers aren't just the staff, the pioneers are you as well, the people of the town. Maybe the people of the town who maybe not have kids come to the college, but are people who want to support the college, invest in the college, even if they're, have grown up kids and so forth. So it's an exciting thing to be involved in that pioneer. And Kerry here was a pioneer at Aiken College when that first started. She's been a pioneer at our Wyndham campus. I've been a pioneer for Discovery Christian College in Queensland. And Pete, our head of primary, talked to him before you go. He was a student in a brand new startup school. What was it called? Tea Tree Gully, and that was in Adelaide. And now that's a big, gigantic school with lots of students in it. So I don't think you'll talk to many people who've been involved in a startup school, a new campus, a pioneering activity that won't say, oh, that was terrible. They'll say that was an amazing adventure. I encourage you, if you haven't already stepped in, to be part of it. Next one, please. And once again, I emphasize what we need to do is we need to have pre-enrollments. we need to commit, and we need to pray for this campus, because we know once this first year is underway, it's only going to get better and better from there. The hardest part is that first year, is making it happen. And of course, it's risky to step in to a community, a school community that doesn't exist yet, that's being formed for that first time. Of course, it's risky. However, greater risk is waiting. Let's wait and see. Someone else go first. Someone else go first. And then nobody goes first. That's the greatest risk. So every school that ever existed always had a first day. Particularly in the last 50 to 60 years, when Christian schools throughout Australia started to sprout up all over the place. There's a demand for them. And you'll hear many, many stories of schools that are now 40, 50 years old, of people who were parents at the time and now grandparents, looking back to say, we just really wanted a Christian school for our kids. And we thought, yeah, we're in, we'll step forward. And those schools are now thriving throughout Australia. Okay, next, I think there's one more slide to go, and then there's this quote that some of you might be saying in years to come. When students are walking through Christway College, Colac, and we've been operating for 5 years, 10 years, 15 years into the future, we'll be able to say, and people will be able to say, we were there right at the beginning. We were one of those founding families, and that's something that will stay with you forever. And this college, this campus, can succeed because of families who build for future generations. You're not only doing this for your own children, you're doing this for generations to come, for an exciting and meaningful Christian education, not only for your students, but I think it makes an impact on the whole community to have a Christian school at the center of it. So that's all I have to say for tonight, but I encourage you, if you have burning questions that you want to ask, then now's your chance. Has there anyone got any particular questions they'd like to ask? Or have all your questions been answered? Yeah. It would be probably a composite class of 7 and 8. I've up in Queensland taught maths and science to the year 7 and 8 class in that first year, and that was about 20 odd. But that's way less than that would be a viable number to start with. I would say if we could get 12 students in year 7 and across 7 and 8, that's a viable number. But even less, 10 could work. If you get too small, then the dynamics of the class is not as good. It's good to have 10 students at least. The college as a whole is prepared to invest in really small classes to start with, because this is going to be the hardest part the first year. And then once we're up and going, those people that were waiting will start to step in, and there's no looking back after that. But I would say, about 10 students a class can run. We were going on the basis of around about 30 students in the school to start. If we were looking at maybe prep to 6, even though that's a small number, it's a viable number for the business to operate in that first year and then grow from there. Yes. One of the great things we'll have in the first years, and the first few years, and probably the first several years, is we will have very small classes. So we'll have a teacher, and then maybe, as we've just said, 10 students in the class. So every student gets much more of the teacher's time, and teachers are trained to help students of all different abilities. Along with that, we'll have assistants in the classroom throughout the school as well, learning assistants. But bottom line is, if you've got a class of 10 students, 12 students, you're going to see your teacher a lot, aren't you? They're going to know you very well, and they're going to be able to help you in all the areas you struggle with and all the areas you're really great at as well. It's not just about what you might need more help with, it's about where you need to be stretched as well, because everyone has abilities and areas where they can improve. So I think the small class sizes, which will persist for a good few years, is going to be a great help for every student, and no matter what your abilities are. But we will be looking to have learning assistants. As I said earlier, we've already had expressions of interest from education support staff who are in town here locally who would like to be part of the Colac campus. Yeah, so good question. Yep. Yep. Mm. Yeah. Look, we fully anticipate regional campus, a smaller regional campus, will be low fees, especially, and it will kind of reflect the infrastructure that we have. But I anticipate quite often the fees of campuses are set not because of how big or small the school is or how amazing the facilities are. It's often based on what the positioning in the local market is. So we want to be, I guess, charging fees which are comparable with what an education would be anywhere in Colac. Obviously, it's a private education technically, but the fees are currently being set at $3,000 tuition fees per year, and then we've got sibling discounts. So for every additional child, it's a 15% discount, 30%. We are reviewing those, aren't we, Deshaun? Those sibling discounts. And then there's the other side of it, which is we have opportunities for fee discounts for families who have healthcare concession cards as well, because we get additional funding for that as well, which we can pass on back to families. So we don't anticipate the fees to be $3,000 and then suddenly start jumping up. What we anticipate is it'll be probably via inflation, CPI increases each year. But that's something that the college board reviews every year. And our Wyndham campus, for example, has a higher fee bracket than our other campus, which has been established for longer. But I would say around about the $3,000 per year is about the mark we would aim to stay at, because we do get government funding, which supports and helps pay for the teachers and pay for facilities and all the other expenses. So yeah, around about the 3,000. As I said, we would not want to price people out of the market. We want to be a school that serves the community here and that is accessible to as many people as possible. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Mm. A big part of that will be that we'd like our staff to be very much embedded in the community. So, for example, when I went up to Queensland to be the principal of a school which had a very surf beach culture, and I can't surf to save my life. I went and got surfing lessons because I wanted to be a person who would listen to the community and not be a principal who would just turn up to school and then hide in the evenings. So I'd make it a point to actually go to the local supermarket and the local areas, the local shops, and engage with local people, and just to learn about what are the people in this town like, what are the challenges, what are the things they love to do, what are the things that are important to them, and to actually learn that and become a local person, rather than being a person, I'm from out of town, but I'll come and do my job and then I'll go home and retreat. It's important to actually become part of the community and understand what the heartbeat of Colac is. So I would anticipate our head teacher would do that, and our teaching staff would do that. And if we can find local people to be those teachers and those educators and those support staff, then that would be fantastic, because we'll have a sense of, yeah, we hear you, with the community, we're here for you. And Kerry has been involved in setting culture here at the Wyndham campus, because on that first day, there's a whole bunch of people who have never existed in a community, in a school before. So we've got to be very, very careful how we allow that and make that culture develop. Not just let it happen by itself, but what the Christian culture of the environment needs to be, and to carefully shape that. Yeah.
microphone. That's intentional. Culture's intentional, and it's really important in how you function, and like Damien was saying, when you have locals in your community that become part of your culture and you actually discuss it. So you talk to the staff about, you just don't infer and think about they understand what the culture is because it's a country town, and a country town's really special. So you look at you profile who's in your community, but what do you want your school to look like? It's a family. And that's what we did when we started. When I began at Wyndham, what did we need? We needed a family, we needed connections, and it was really important to do that intentionally. And then from that, the children feel that they belong, the staff feel that they're heard and belong, and your family becomes connected. And then your children come home and tell you all these things. My teacher said this because their teacher knows everything, because their teacher is, when that happens, it's amazing because that means they've connected with that community. So the culture has to be intentional. And there's tradition and there's culture and there's people and there's ways of life, from farming to your shopping centre, that needs to be accounted for. So community engagement is really important. So it is like profiling what the community needs and what the children need. So when they finish school, they're productive, they know that they belong, and they're part of a community. And that's intentional. And that's one of the first things that the head teacher will need to look at. How do we bring culture and connect and have our own culture within the Christway culture that becomes established? So there are children with special needs that belong and know that that's where they go and they feel safe. There are children that mainstream that have that connection in education. So it's very, very intentional. And that's why it's like Damien said, choosing people from the community, but it's also the right people that know pioneering needs. You need to think differently. Yeah.
And from personal experience, that pioneering team of staff are like a family, because they're quite often need the support of each other. But not only that, what we found in Queensland was the pioneering staff also had pioneering parents. We were one big, I won't say one big happy family as such, but we were people who did life together, from the educators to the parents to the students, all one big community. It was just fabulous to do that, and I think that we have the opportunity to have something like that here. Yeah. Yep. Yeah, one of the things I remember, and I keep talking about Queensland because it's a very similar experience to starting a new school in a small community, is I remember meeting up when I first arrived there, 2015, and meeting up with a couple of the principals in the big schools, and they said, "Oh yeah, you probably need to, you won't be able to be involved in the district sports thing and this, that, and the other because it's just too far." Well, I said, no, we're going all in here, and what you find is with pioneering staff. So we had a sport teacher who was also the history and English teacher. He said, no, we're going to do this. So we got involved in every possible opportunity, even though we were a small school and we had to jump on the bus and travel. We just got involved in every possible opportunity because it's more than a job for the pioneering staff. They actually. It's a way of life, and they'll say, right, what can we do to make this work? There's this spirit about it, and they say, right, we're going to get involved in this sport, even though we've got 6 students. We're going to find a way. We're going to combine forces with another school, We're going to have opportunities to go and visit the Wyndham campus and have sort of amazing experiences where we have days out, and we have the Wyndham students come here and join forces, and we'll have lots of fun together. But there is a sense of, if it looks like a problem that's just too big to get involved in and the opportunity might not be there, you'd be surprised with a pioneering group of staff. Yeah, they'll be looking for every possible opportunity. And the good thing is that every student then gets to participate in that. In some of your larger schools, quite often you miss out on those opportunities because there's too many. When you've got a few, we're all in together. Well, let's make this happen. Let's go and have some fun. Let's get involved. Let's really push the envelope of what we can achieve. Yeah.
Nathan Victor, our sports coordinator, he had the same question was asked, and he said, of course they'll be able to join the local sport network, the CSCN, which is the Christian Schools Network. We'll be able to put them on the bus and they just go to Geelong, or they just. So it was for him. It was, what do you mean? It's a small school. We're pioneering. They're going to miss out. Well, no, they're not. I mean, we've got staff at Wyndham that are our art teachers that are saying, "Oh, I'll spend a day a week there and teach art." And our music teacher's got an amazing music program and said, "I'll be able to go down there a day a week." So there's always opportunities. The children don't miss out. In some ways, they get more because it's intentional. They don't miss out. So I see when our kids go off to sport, they only say you can bring 30 students over 2 year levels, so they're going to miss. Some are going to miss out, but they don't. And you just have to be creative. And everything is an opportunity. You don't look at it as a challenge. You look at it as an opportunity.
And it just popped in my mind just recently. So the Kingston campus over in the southeast suburbs, for years, for probably the last 20 years, have been running a snow trip each year. They're running a day snow trip to Mount Buller, and then there's a senior residential snow camp for like 2 or 3 nights in July, sort of late July. And for the first time this year, we thought, hey, Wyndham could jump in on this. Previously, Wyndham is establishing itself. And we said, well, how about with some Wyndham students want to come on the snow camp this year? Because they're getting up to that age now, year 10 and 11. And straight away, hands were up, and they can now jump into an already well-established trip. And then we've got a Fiji trip next year for our year 12s as an alternative to schoolies. You've all heard of schoolies. We terrible thing where students go and be silly after their exams are over in year 12. And we have an international trip to Fiji, a service learning trip. We call it a mission trip there. And next year, our first year of group of year 12s going through Wyndham, we'll jump into that trip because it's well-established. And it actually makes the trip more viable and more affordable. So being part of a larger college network opens up opportunities as well. Yeah. Any more questions? Yeah. Yeah, so one of the things that makes us as a Christian school unique, along with other Christian schools in the CSA network, that's Christian Schools Australia, is that we only actually hire staff who are Christian. So there are other schools with various, there are other faith-based schools around Australia, the Catholic system, Lutherans, and so forth, the Anglican system, but they don't hire just Christian staff, whereas our college, along with other CSA schools, only hire Christian staff. And that doesn't mean Christian staff just by sort of tradition and family. It means you need to articulate clearly your faith, and so that faith sort of spills out of you in the day-to-day part of your job, and the students understand that. So, yeah, that's something we don't compromise on. Yeah, we every staff member that applies for a job at Christway College has to provide a minister's reference, pastoral reference from the church they're attending. So it's just one of those things. Being part of CSA, that's part of the CSA constitution. If you're a CSA school, you only actually hire Christian staff. Yeah. And that's not easy to find good Christian staff. But over the last few years, we've been really blessed with the quality of Christian staff we've been able to find. Probably 4 or 5 years ago, it was really difficult. I think there was a bit of a teacher shortage as well, workforce shortage, and it was just really hard to find good staff. But we've been able to work with some really good recruiters, and it's something now that I have absolutely no worry about. We will find some amazing Christian teachers and Christian staff for this campus. I've got no doubt about it whatsoever. I've probably met a few of them already and spoken to a few of them over the last 6 months as we've visited here and had expressions of interest. So, yeah.
What like I'm sure they're talking about the school amongst yourselves and hearing things. What do families need from us to feel that security to be able to sign up? I've been thinking about it and brainstorming, and I don't have the answers. Mr. Higgins knows I just do these brainstorms and go right off the rail. I'm thinking of sending out wanted signs, wanted students. But what is it that's missing? I remember we asked that when we started Aiken College, and we had like about 30 people, but we started with 220, and we asked them, what did you need? And there were lots of questions, but one of the things was staffing. They wanted to see staff, and we're on the ball with that. We are. But is there anything that you feel that is missing when we talk to you as a community of prospective parents? Have you heard anything? Someone did say to me today, unless the buildings are up, we won't sign up. And I said, well, we can't get a permit unless we have bottoms on seats. So there's a catch-22. That's where the catch is. Unless we have enrolments, we can't proceed. Yes. So, can I tell you how we do it at Crossway? Okay, so when we all started in 2022. Okay, so we had Wyndham started in 2019 with just under 100 children. Then they went into COVID, and then when they had 6 weeks of school over the 2 years. Then they started with 200 and about 20 children. No one knew each other, and then we had all these new staff. So basically, it was just a cauldron of students and staff and parents, and no one knew each other. No one. It was a Christian school, but it didn't look like that because there weren't any characteristics of it. So one of the most important things that we needed to do was to come together as a family. And what's that? That's God's image of love. So what we do with our children and our community is we love them. We give them a Christ-centered education. And parents are part of that because they come from you. So when you drop your children off, we don't expect you to drop your children off and to leave. You are part of the community. You are part of the family. And that's really important because we are educating our children in the image of God. And what is that? That is love. That is perfection. That is hope. That is joy. And giving the children the best that we can do, but we can't do that without you. And we get many children that come from government schools, and there are horrific stories that we hear of what's happening. And we don't do any of those things. We are deliberate. We are Christ-centered, and that will never stop. But one of the things that we do is a partnership with you. You are part of our family. And there are families that come to us, and when we talk about that, they hold trauma from where they've come from, and it's really hard for them to believe it. That you're going to love our children, you're going to educate them, you're going to give them Christ. It's already there because it's come from their family. So it's a partnership. And yes, parents have the greatest responsibility and the hardest job in the world is educating your children, but we do that with you and we don't take that away from you. No, there's just so much more that we do together. And Christway College is not Christway College. The children, and I love it when I hear them say, I go to Christway Family. And you take children and they're on tours and they say, oh, welcome to the family. And like we're 500 kids, and I want them to say that when we're 1,500. And that's what we're working on. So your children become part of a family. It is an educational setting. And people think just a school, it's not. It's a building of a family. And when children have that belonging, they're productive, they study well, they belong, they make good choices. So when they finish, they have a pathway. But it's only when they belong and they feel loved and they're part of a family. And I could talk until tomorrow about it, but unless you experience it, you'll never know. So the advice I give the families here, I'd love a Colac group to come on a campus tour just for that. So you can walk through the school and feel the peace. It wasn't there 5 years ago. It doesn't matter what time of the day you walk through that school, you feel peace. And we've worked on that intentionally. You can walk through any time of the day, doesn't matter where you are, prep, year 9, year 11, and there's peace because they belong and they have calm. Apart from when you come in, when Mr. Higgins comes in, it's a different story. They get so excited, Mr. Higgins is here. But it's really important for them to have peace because it's like when they're at home, they belong. So if you want to come and visit and experience what it means to be part of that community, unless you've felt it and experienced it, you're not going to know.
And one thing I forgot to mention earlier was in the first year or 2 or 3 of a brand new campus, parents, you have the opportunity to actually shape how the college looks as well. You have a much greater opportunity to talk with and get involved with the principal or the head of campus and the staff, and to shape what this community looks like as well. So it's an amazing opportunity.
First year, I rang morning teas. Every week I would meet with parents. At the beginning, they all came because they wanted to see who I was. And slowly, once they felt comfort, they stopped coming. And I thought I was failing. And I rang a few parents, why aren't you coming? And one said, it's okay, we know you've got one head, not two. Or they would come across, they would say things like, oh, we know who you are now, it's okay, we know. So I was thinking, oh, they're not coming because Pastor Dan, what's going on? They're no longer coming. But they had found their peace and their trust. But the partnership is very important.
Yeah, parent volunteer. We would strongly encourage parent volunteers to be involved. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Got a few questions suddenly. Go on, you first. Yeah, sorry. Yeah. Yeah, I think just to summarise the question, what does a student look like who's been through a Christian school and are they going on with their faith? Look, there's never going to be 100% of students who come out of a school and are strong in the faith and carry on. Some will quite often, I know stories of some students who have left, particularly the Kingston campus, because we haven't got graduates yet from the Wyndham campus who have moved on, sort of drifted away for a while, and then the seeds that have been planted, they've come back and are now strong members of their local church. What I've found is for children from a Christian family to be in a Christian school, it enables them to explore their faith. It enables them to grow in their faith and have that faith formation experience, which if they're in a school where the majority of students are not Christian and it's not cool to be a Christian, that is a really hard environment to be in. So it allows them to explore who they are in Christ and gives them the best possibility, I guess, to move on and grow in their faith even beyond school. A big part of that is the family they come from, as well as has been said tonight. That the primary job of discipling a child is the parents, but we partner with that and hopefully together give the child the best possible opportunity. It's also about recognizing that there are different stages in the faith journey of a child. From the primary experience is going to be very different from the adolescent experience, and then the senior years where they really start to have critical thinking. And it's important that we as a school recognize there are different challenges there, and we allow students to wrestle with their faith and really ask those tricky questions that they've never thought about before, but now they are, so that when they go to university and they're challenged about their faith, they said, yeah, I've already thought about that. I've had good, robust discussions with my teachers, and they can, I guess, defend their position rather than suddenly be torn to shreds by the intellectual people out there, and because they've never really thought about it. So it's our responsibility, I guess, as educators and, of course, with parents to prepare our students for the world out there. Not to shelter them in like a bubble where suddenly they pop outside that bubble. It's very difficult, but to actually prepare them and allow their minds to be transformed and renewed as they pass through school. But having said that, we see a lot of students. Some years, I mean, the last year of graduates all stood up at their valedictory dinner and saying how amazing their experience was and how they thank God for their journey and they're going on to the next phases of their life. But not every student has the same story. Every student is unique. But we feel that the environment we give them at Christway College campuses prepares them the best possible for the challenges that lie ahead. Yeah. There was a question over here. Yeah. Yeah, could we just go back to one of the slide of the plan view? It's the one that's more of the not the AI one, but the two slides before that. It's something we have thought a lot about, and one of the first questions that we talked about in one of our early meetings with the architects back in February, I think it was, is how are we going to make sure school and church interface is a child-safe interface? And that's something we have a lot of experience with our campuses at Kingston and Wyndham, particularly the Kingston campus. It's all one building, so you walk into the auditorium. So what we've had to do over the years is to ensure that there's a clear part that says this is the church this way, and there's students can't go areas where they shouldn't be, and so forth. Same with a little bit easier at Wyndham because the churches are separated from the school buildings. But it is one of the questions that straight away the VRQA, the regulator, wants to know, and the architect has already been planning out. So if you can see on the diagram here, it's not easy to show, but there will be where the red footsteps are, there's an entry where they go sort of left through that little curved part there, and that would be a gate, so the students are in there. Once they're in there, there's no way they can actually get into the grey building. Now, we anticipate for assemblies, the students will be brought in here for whole school assemblies as we get from 30 up to 120 students that would use this amazing facility. But most of the time, the students will be in these buildings here, and some of the day-to-day activities in the church would take place within the church building, and there won't be any movement into those areas. Obviously, supervision is a major part of what we do as well, and every group of students has a teacher with them at all times. When they're out on the yard, they're out onto the green play space, and there's no access in there, and the toilets for the students will be different toilets to the adults in the church toilets. So all those things, the architect has been, that's one of the big parts that they've been planning. How is this going to work so that we make sure students are in one place, church activities can carry on, and they're uninhibited as well. So if you've got a church group, mums and toddlers group, that can take place without them feeling their spaces have been compromised as well. So yeah, it's something we take very seriously. And as you probably all know, child safety is the number one priority in any school. So we have to make sure we're absolutely all over that and have a plan for every scenario. Yeah. Yep. Yep.
I feel like I want to just tell you a bit of a story. I was able to go to our national conference in Adelaide last year, and for those who were at the evening a month or two ago, I've told the story already, but I hear the question about parents and their involvement and what attempt is made to pass Christ on to the students in a way that's meaningful and not superficial. That's what I was sort of hearing. I heard Kerry speak in Adelaide, and one of the things she said in the talk was it was an elective during the conference about starting schools. So I went to that, and one of the things Kerry said speaking to us over there was that as an example of how the school functions, Wyndham is an area where there's a very large Asian population, and a lot of them are putting a name down for their kids to go to Wyndham, and the selection process will be very similar to what we are going to have, I believe, that the parents will have to agree to a Christian school with Christian influences, talking about Jesus Christ as our Lord and Saviour, and they have to sign on and agree to that. Well, quite a lot of them did that, but after 3 months, when their daughter came home and said to their parents, "Oh, can I have a Bible?" Well, she might even come home with a Bible. Anyway, she wanted a Bible, and the parents got to be alienated because they were from a totally different religious background from Asia, not Christians by any stretch of the imagination. So they came and complained to the principal, "Why are you doing this? This shouldn't happen." And they were reminded, "You signed off at the start of the year when your child came that you knew what our principles were and the way we teach and what we do." And they said, "Well, it's not good enough, we're going." So they withdrew their kids from the school. And this happened with a few families. Now, by the end of the year, when they went back to the public system, the government system, they came back to Kerry and said, "We want to re-enroll for next year with our students because we're not happy with what we were getting in the public system." Kerry unfortunately had to tell those parents, "Sorry, next year we're fully committed at that year level. We can't take your children." So I just tell you that story to reinforce the Christian aspect. It's Christway College. It's Christ's school to teach our kids Christian values, which you don't get in public school or a lot of private schools like we were hearing. They're Christian by name, but that's about as far as it goes. What I've seen and heard of Christway, I can't wait for my grandkids to come along because I think it's taken them out of the system which is just dragging them down all the time. The government's changing the curriculum so much in our schools and teaching them things that we do not believe, but we've got no say in it. Like you were saying, you're not allowed to get involved. This school won't be like that. You can send your kids along being confident that this is going to be an education system which is Christ-centred. So I just want to encourage parents to think that this is just a brilliant opportunity in Colac to have a Christian school that's going to really help your kids to grow in their walk with Christ. I wish I had it for my kids. Instead of one being a pastor, I might have had 3.
Look, I think that was a wonderful place to finish. Thank you so much for that. And look, if you do want to hang around, have a cup of tea and a bit of a quiet chat afterwards, very welcome to do that. So thank you so much. I'm just going to close the night in prayer, but as I said, feel free to hang around. Father, we thank you for this day, Lord, and this evening that we've had, and we're so grateful for the families that we've had a chance to talk to today during our morning session. The The fact that our college got airtime on the local radio as well, we thought was wonderful. And we just want to spread the word. And we trust you, Father, that you've got all this in hand and that you will encourage all our families in Colac who are interested, and just encourage them and give them the sense that this is the right time to step forward and to be part of founding this community. We thank you for tonight, that this is a special time that we've been able to share together. It's a special time as we prepare and look forward to day one of our college here in campus in Colac. And we're just thankful that we have so much interest and enthusiasm, and we thank you what you're going to do in this town over the next 6 to 12 months, but then well into the future as we see things unfold here for Christway College in Colac. Thank you, Lord, for this time. Bless every family here who's been involved. We bless the families that couldn't be here tonight as well, and we look forward to spending more time together in the days and months to come. In Jesus' name, amen. Thanks, everyone. Do hang around for a chat if you'd like to. Otherwise, good night. God bless. It's been great meeting you all. Thank you.